In this episode of Contracting Conversations, bringing government and industry together, Amanda Thompson from JJR Solutions and Kameke Mitchell from Space Systems Command explain why every perspective is important and how they bridge the gap to solve many different types of problems. I'm Scott Williams, along with my co-host Jim Valley, coming to you straight from our booth at the Nexus 24 conference in Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, we're in Jacksonville, Florida at the NCMA Nexus conference, and very pleased to be joined by Amanda Thompson from JJR Solutions and Kameke Mitchell from U.S. Space Command. They're going to talk to us a little bit about the source selection debriefing presentation that they did, and maybe a few other things along the way. So welcome. Thanks for stopping by the DAU booth to talk to us. So take her away.
Thanks for having us.
Sure.
Yeah. So our debrief and source selection session that we did was really about teaming. It's about teamwork. Source selection is a team sport. So we wanted to make sure that we were bringing that to the Nexus, where we are bringing teams in and being able to work together.
Yeah, I think one thing that we try to always bring this dynamic. So we kind of have a flow. We like to work together because I have experience as a contracting officer for the Air Force, worked for NASA JPL, and now on industry. Met Kameke when I was very early
in our careers.
And so we knew each other, we're very comfortable with each other. And then we have another friend, Jessica, who's been in industry. She's worked all these great different types of contracts and solved lots of different problems. And so we all have I feel like our team is such a well-rounded experience. And then we can provide all those different perspectives because, I've learned things being on the industry side. And we talk about these things all the time because Kameke really cares, how it goes for industry. And that's why I love her so stinking much, because she'll listen and she tries to take that. But also the times where I'm just like, please help me understand. She gives me the context. And a lot of times that's all we need to do is to bridge those gaps so that we can all do a better job. So that's really our intent with all of that.
But I think we also found a lot of synergy in our session. We actually had two activities. One surrounding market research. You had to do market research for bridge companies that build bridges. And then we actually had the participants build a bridge as though it was a government RFP that was out. So it was really nice, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback about how much they enjoyed that. But then they've gotten to play both sides of the government and industry and really understand.
So they actually do a debriefing
Yes.
to the contractor
Yes.
and get all the tough questions that come in.
Yes, they do get all the tough questions, but I think for both our government and our industry partners, it was good for them both to see. We even had people online for the session who built bridges at home at their desk and actually sent pictures in and then participated in the debrief. So I will say we only had one protest, and that was it. So that worked out. In a class of about 60 people, we only had one protest, so we were excited about that.
Oh, there was at least 60 people. So
yeah.
It was great. It was a packed house. And some of the fun things, people were getting a bit cheeky about it. But I'm like, no. Ask all the crazy questions, because this is in the spirit of what we want to happen in a source selection, is make sure that everyone understands. And we purposely didn't give them all the details. We were kind of vague. We wanted them to, rather than make assumptions, let's make sure this is clear. And so it was really fun being able to give them their responses, and then to see them, okay, I have a lot more flexibility than I thought, right? So people are digging into their bags and trying to find things to build these bridges, right? It was and it was great. And then a part of it, they get to work together and connect and problem solve. And that's what we want them to do also in the source selection.
Right.
We need them talking. We need them understanding the requirement together, and then asking great prudent questions, and then figuring out how they're going to execute. And just also, if we're thinking about them building a bridge, we're trying to put them in the shoes of that other side, right? How are you going to do that? How are we as industry responding and accomplishing those things? And how clear was it? So just kind of giving that real world. It was very simple, but I think it got a lot of people thinking, and a lot of people leaving like, okay, yeah, that was a great way to tie them.
Right. It was really fun, and we were able to provide them with resources. I actually worked for DPC for Mr. Chinaglia for a while and led the rewrite to the current source selection procedures. So we were able to share that guide. We were able to share other information. So they actually left with tangible resources to take back with them. So that was really something we wanted to make sure they had as well.
Yeah, and actually, we had resources not only from the guide, but from DAU. So we pull from, and because we're here because this career field is really important to us, right? We want both sides to know what in the world's going on, learn all these great things. And so we point everybody to things that are publicly available. So DAU has things that everyone can get to, everything that's available from the government standpoint. We make sure that they all know that they can go there and understand. And I actually emphasize that a lot to industry, is to go understand what our government officials, our COs, our teams have to do to accomplish the mission, so that you can understand their process, why they may be doing something. And you know what I mean? So it's like, go out there and actually read it. Don't just read the piece that you think is applicable to you, but read the procedure.
And that was one of the things that came out of this, was actually reading the entire RFP. But it was really good for our government folks to understand that when you put an RFP out there, think about the timing that you're putting it out there. Think about what you're really asking. Let's look for those Easter eggs, because really everything should be in section L and M that you want them to provide back to you, the instructions and then how you want it provided back. So it shouldn't be hidden. But we heard some really good comments from our industry partners actually in the audience, and they were able to have some good discussions, which was really beneficial. I think people took
And did you guys cover like this idea that you don't have to ask for everything that's in the RP and for the proposal?
Did. And it doesn't have to be 30 volumes at 100 pages a piece. We did. We talked about that a lot. And we talked about, what are you trying to get? What needs you have? What need does the government have that we're trying to meet? And let's call that down. And when you're talking about how are you going to evaluate that, don't throw in extra things just because you can. Evaluate the basics so that you can move out. And we're really being better partners with industry.
I think to that, it's understanding what is the problem that you are trying to solve. So getting to that basic point. And this is also something, even as a CO, I'd have teams. When I worked for NASA JPL, you're working with like some really cool, it's all space missions. So you've got some really neat instrumentation. And so I think there's a lot of times you kind of know what's out there, and you have this beautiful thing that you think you want. And so maybe that beautiful thing you think you want is sort of how you write your PWS, your criteria, and then, but what we're asking people to do is take a step back. What is that thing that you want, that you like? What is the problem that it solves? It takes us somewhere. It does this thing. Okay, that's actually the information we need in here, right? Not the specs for that specific thing. So what problem does it solve? Because that way we can get solutions that maybe are outside what we knew were even available, and get those new creative things. Maybe we can't quite use those creative things, but we now know that they're there. We can potentially go after them in the future, or even make multiple awards.
But I think that was the good thing about Nexus and the idea behind Nexus. You had the whole multifunctional team here. So it wasn't just contracts professionals talking to contracts professionals. We had our PMs and our cores in the audience. So they really got to understand that from a programmatic standpoint, let's solve your problem. I know that bright, shiny thing that you think you want and that you just sat the specs on my desk. Maybe that's not really going to solve our problem. And we have so many budget constraints right now from a government standpoint that we really need to focus on solving our problems and not so much just specs.
All right, outstanding.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be, as far as the flavor of the conference, getting all those functionals together, getting communication, partnering with industry. Sounds like you guys did a lot of that in your presentation. And just from watching you guys right now, great partnership, right? And working together and having fun, enjoying it, and what a great way to learn by doing that and seeing some things from a different perspective, understanding other points of view, and then focusing on what the real questions might be. And that acquisition plan is really important before you even get to that source selection. So it sounds like it was a wonderful time. I could see the
Oh yeah, I know. We're like nerds for this stuff anyway. So and we love to do it. So and inevitably, it doesn't matter whatever I'm teaching. I'm not
I don't know everything about every topic. Inevitably, somebody brings something up, and we learn something in there too.
The strength of working together.
Exactly.
Yes. It was really good. We actually had a gentleman from the NRO who shared how they were doing debriefs and how they were sharing. Now, everyone, they have different regulations that they can use, but it was really good for the class to hear that, and it was something that we all learned from as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Yes.
yeah, so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank
We
you.
could talk about this for hours.
Oh, we could.
For another 2-hour session.
So we might have to bring you guys
No,
back.
that's the war stories version.
Yes.
Yeah, we might have to bring you both
Behind
back.
the scenes
Definitely.
version.
Behind
Yeah.
the scenes.
We're not going to wait all the way till next year's
Okay,
Nexus.
no.
So thank you
thanks,
so
Amanda.
much.
Thanks, Kameke, for
Thank
stopping
you
by.
so
and
much.
Spending some of your
Yes.
day with us. Really
Yep.
Yes.
appreciate it.
Happy to
Thank
be here.
you.
All right, thank you. So for the audience out there, please smash the like button. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or DAU Media, and we will see you next time.